And welcome to the Friday the 13th Review and Response, brought to you by R.I.P Productions. I'm your host, Lord Kayoss, and we'll be taking you through what we call Review and Response. What exactly does that mean? Basically, Review and Response is, well, it's a review in response. In this case, a response to the review that was brought to you by James Rolfe. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but the Angry Nintendo Nerd, or aka Angry Video Game Nerd. We'll call him AVG Nerd for short. Review was done December of 2006, October 2006, something like that. Basically, AVG Nerd shot down the game Friday the 13th and made it sound like an incoherent pile of dog shit. This review is not meant to criticize or shoot down AVG Nerd. We actually enjoy his reviews and the entertainment that he brings to the table. Me personally, I think he's got some of the greatest facial expressions since Vince McMahon from the WWE. And somebody was even good enough to purchase the DVD for me for Christmas. How about that? But, aside from the entertainment value, a lot of the things expressed in AVG Nerd's review are a little misleading. There's some inconsistencies there, and there are actually a lot of people that find the game Friday the 13th for the old Nintendo Entertainment System to be either too hard or downright unplayable as a result of this review. And with our review, we're here to remedy that. So sit back and enjoy the review, and let's get to it. Well, let's go ahead and pop it in. Oh, damn. Knew I should have bought the freaking top loader. I'm so tired of this shit. Works every time. Okay, Friday the 13th, as you well know, is a game modeled after one of the most popular slasher franchises of all time, featuring Jason Voorhees as the relentless killer. Jason has 3 lives in this game, each broken up into 3 different days, which is where the challenge lies. Once Jason dies, the game warns you he's not dead yet, more powerful, and a new day begins. With each death in return, he gets faster during cabin battles and more active on the map as he goes after other camp counselors, the kids, and ultimately you. If Jason kills all the kids or all your camp counselors, your ass is grass and the game is over. Damn, who wrote this shit? And after you get started here, as far as camp counselors go, Mark, Laura, and Chrissy are by far the best choices. They all walk very fast opposed to the others. Mark's actually the best counselor overall to use in my opinion. He's the fastest, which makes navigating the game very easy compared to the other 3, who I mainly leave inactive as decoys for Jason. And as we freeze frame here, this is actually one of the biggest, most important instructions in the game to light all the fireplaces. It is essential. It is a blueprint task, primary task for any of your camp counselors to follow, as it allows you to obtain clues for powering up your camp counselors with better weapons that are essential to beating Jason. Fireplaces are only located in the bigger cabins. We'll see that as we go along here. And definitely pointing out using the torch to light the fireplaces is definitely some type of game developer typo, as the lighter is actually the item that's used to do this. Lighter can be obtained simply by killing zombies. We'll see this in just a second. And the torch is obtained a little bit later in the game, and we'll also get to that as well. I'll definitely agree with AVG Nerd that upgrading from the rocks is a must, whether it's to the knife, machete, or whatever. Anything that does more damage is going to be useful. But in the meantime, while your upstart counselor is stuck with the rocks, try kneeling down. You'll hit the zombies and Jason every single time, despite some of the jokes out there about the rocks arcing over everyone's head. And as you saw several seconds ago, the lighter did appear after killing a few zombies. Once you grab that, you are ready now to start lighting the fireplaces. Freeze framing just for a moment to point out the bigger cabins are designated by the 4 green windows to the side. These are the cabins that the fireplaces are in. As you travel the trail on the quest to light the fireplaces, you're going to begin to notice these little white messages scattered about. They are extremely important, as following them in sequence does lead you to one of the 2 most powerful weapons in the game, which is the torch. Torch can do some serious damage to Jason and is highly recommended. It's a must-have in my opinion. So when you're lighting fireplaces, if you notice the messages, definitely take them, read them, follow the sequence, and they will lead you to the torch in one of those cabins by the lake. And there's the Jason alarm, which will sound at random times throughout the game, alerting you that he's stalking either one of the counselors or the kids. Basically, you want to respond to this as quickly as you can. Running him off is key to your long-term survival. When you hear this alarm, check the map screen. One of the tricks you can do here is switch to the camp counselor in the cabin Jason is in without wasting a bunch of time getting someone else over there. You have to enter a small cabin to do this, by the way. This particular case, he's going after the kids, so you want to switch to a camp counselor who is closest to the lake as possible, and also try to use one of the fast-moving counselors if at all possible as well. The slower-moving ones take too long rowing the boat, and they eat up way too much damage on the way over there. Fighting Jason inside the cabins is actually one of the easier ways to take him down, in my opinion. Basically, dodging his attacks using diagonal down left or diagonal down right is the easiest way to avoid his attacks. You can get used to timing these just right, and you can get to the point where you'll never take a hit. Time your shots correctly, and you will scare him off, or eventually kill him, which we will see later on down the line. Let's talk about switching counselors and items inside the cabins using the change and pass feature. This is actually one of the more useful features of the game, which in turn got blasted the most by the AVG nerd in his review. The feature can actually save your ass along the way as you're tracking Jason and trying to finish him off. If the camp counselor, whom you've spent precious time equipping and powering up, gets to the point where he's taking too much damage, you can enter a cabin with one of the others and tag out, so to speak, using the change feature. Only when doing so, don't forget to use the pass option to give the fresh counselor the weapon you have, and if your new counselor collects a few red vials along the way, you can always return to the injured counselor and use the cure option to replenish his or her health. Keep in mind though that after Jason dies and a new day begins, all counselors are returned to full health. The switch out tactic is mainly useful on day 3 in my opinion. Basically, this is when Jason is a raging animal and popping up all over the place. And nearing the end of the task of lighting the fireplaces, if you have taken the white messages and followed the sequence, you will locate the torch, which is one of the 2 most powerful weapons in the game. And there it is, excellent weapon. Jason will piss on himself when he realizes you found this. As we use the torch to work him over, dodging his attacks, again, it's not very hard to do. Try not to get hit when he has either the machete or the axe. He will take some serious damage from your counselor. And chopping him down, slowly but surely. And once he dies, this is the end of day 1.